What's going on, Chuck?
Hey, my man, how you been? Long time no
Good, man.
see.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. Good to see you. And yeah, today I wanted to bring somebody like you on, man, that eh, your path of your career as a retired first sergeant. I wanted to get your take on leadership, what you experienced, what you saw good and bad, and maybe a message out there to other veterans on how to use that for
Yeah.
the next step. Yeah,
Yeah, I think man, 26 years in the Army, brother. I've seen some good, I've seen bad,
yeah,
I've seen okay. When it comes to leadership, it was kind of one of those things, once you get promoted early on in your career, that's kind of where you're figuring out your leadership style, in my opinion. It's one of those things that, I always ask myself, why does it matter? Why does leadership even matter? Why do we need it? Why do we need to have good leaders and things like that, And of course it's most of the same answers that you get all the time, provide vision, direction, motivate and inspire, things like that. And it's kind of one of those things too, I think, in the military versus the civilian sector. It's different, man. It's
yeah,
different. And it was a hard learning experience, kind of for me, after retirement and I went right into the finance world as a leader, in a leadership position.
yeah,
I faced some challenges, man. It was a different world, especially in businesses and organizations that have their own different values than the military or different cultures than the military. So it was challenging at times, I had to kind of catch myself on, man, can I say this or can I not say this? Or how do I lead a civilian versus a soldier? But I think for the most part, I try to be a leader that the number one purpose in my leadership, I think, was just taking care of people,
yeah.
taking care of soldiers, meeting their needs. You got to treat them like a human being. They have families, they have lives outside of the military. You got to build that trust relationship with them. Um, because if you do that and you're taking care of those folks, man, they're gonna bend over backwards. They're gonna stop what they're doing and they're gonna jump on whatever you ask them to do.
Yeah.
It's just people is the key, man. And it's one of those things, man, that if you're taking care of your people, the work will be done and you'll succeed no matter what.
That's a good message for corporations, right? Uh,
Yeah,
if you're looking at numbers, also look
yeah,
at people because those people drive the numbers.
that's
And
right.
if you keep good people, you're going to have good numbers, so it'll come.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing too. There's too many money hungry folks out there, and it's like you hit it on the head, man. It's about the numbers. It's not about the people, and you see those companies and those organizations running through, the turnover of folks that go to those places.
yep,
There's problems, right? And it's
yeah,
kind of like, well, somebody will figure it out eventually,
yeah.
and it's sad to see those things happen, but um, when the money comes more important than the people, you're gonna have those problems. You're gonna have that turnover. People are gonna be talking, and it's not a good environment to be in. It's a bad culture to be in. But yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it happen for sure.
Yeah, and not only people but mission, right? If you have a mission, and it includes the people,
Yeah.
then there's no lose, right? There's no lose because you got a mission, whatever that may be, right? And you bring your people with you. Um, but yeah, I know, like I said, years of experience you have as a retired first sergeant, me as a CW2 in the Army, we've seen good and bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I took away from it is let me look at what the bad is. I don't want to do that. So I catch myself, right? Because it's easy to go into management mode, if you will. That's the easy part, but that's not leading. that's just you managing things and personnel. That's not actually giving direction, or like we used to say in the military, right? Train the people below you to do your job.
That's right.
You know, when they get up there, they know what they're doing. It almost seems like in the civilian world sometimes you don't want to give that secret away. You know, that's what I felt. Um,
Yeah, I think so too, and I try not to be, there's everybody has their own leadership style. Everybody will figure out their own leadership style. But what's going to be, and you may have to use different styles in different situations too, right?
mhm.
Depending on the mission, depending on what you're trying to do here, you could be a transformational leader, you could be a transactional leader, servant leader, coaching leadership, you
Or
know.
all in between, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like, I always looked at what motivates people. Is it reward? Is it, the thought of just accomplishing the mission? I spent a lot of years in recruiting command, and you talk about a hard freaking mission every month. Um, and each station, recruiting station, happened to make a certain mission, and it wasn't just, okay, this recruiting station needs to put in 5 people. It was, this recruiting station needs to put in one college graduate, one high school diploma graduate. Um, it was broken down female, male, so it was really
Yeah,
specific on,
crazy metrics.
yeah,
Just like,
it was,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
And they didn't really care about, okay, hey, we hit our 5 people. If you didn't hit the numbers they wanted or what the specific goal was, you kind of failed, in their
yeah,
eyes.
yeah,
So you may have put 5 people in the army, but you didn't get your college grad or your high school grad or your high school senior or your male or your female. So you really had to adjust kind of leadership styles too, and push your team to focus on, hey, we're missing the senior piece of this. We need to really focus on hitting the high schools and finding those seniors that want to join. So sometimes leadership styles may have to change. You may be have to be a little more directive in one area when it's time limited, like a monthly mission goal. But for the most part, man, I always just tried to lead by example, do the right things. And those leaders, man, they're out there. We had the same one in an organization that we've both been over backwards for, brother.
oh yeah.
And I can tell
Well,
you, I would follow him down any path that he went because he's a great leader,
yeah.
and man, it's been a fun career, and learning the difference between military and civilian styles leaderships, but I'm still learning. Heck, man,
Mhm.
I'm at the point of retired time, and I'm still learning different things.
Yeah. Never too late, right? I mean,
That's right.
you can't stop learning, and like you said, right? You retired once, almost retired again if you wanted to, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, if you could still keep learning, I'm sure these individuals that are running corporations can also keep learning, um, and take something out of this, right? Because we're not perfect. The military wasn't perfect, but we
Yep.
learned how to adapt, and we learned
That's
how
right.
things work, not only mission wise but personnel wise. Because without that, mission failed, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny too when I've been around, I've had a lot of jobs, not necessarily after the military, but I did go into the civilian sector on the government side, and done that for a couple years, and then went into big corporation, in the finance world, one of the top global leaders, and seen the leadership styles and things that they do there. It's a little more, you got to be careful. You got to be careful a little more on that side, and how you lead people, because people get their feelings hurt pretty easy. It seemed like, versus the military, where people are used to that, and they just salute and drive on,
right.
but it's different, definitely. And I've seen those leaders, man. I've seen those leaders that that are in certain positions that, you know, I call them fake leaders, they are what they are, and you can kind of see through it,
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
looking at style over substance, they're inconsistent with their actions. They promise things, but they don't deliver on the promises.
yeah,
Lack of accountability, manipulation, insecurity, control factors, lack of transparency with things. You can see that stuff, but sometimes I think in the corporate world, they've grown that way. That's what
yeah.
they know, right? So, um, but it stands out like a sore thumb,
Yeah, it sure does, man. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I mean, you could spot them a mile away in our shoes.
Yeah,
And that could be hard for a veteran, right? Because they want to do their best and they see
sure.
this and they're like, what kind of leadership is this? Right. And even for kids coming up, like college kids going to corporations, you don't want to
Yeah,
breed that kind of leader, right? And if you do, okay, so be it. That's your corporation. But if you really want to make a difference and really want to have high performers, you gotta understand how to inspire and lead,
yeah,
by action, like you said, right? Because if
yeah.
not, people are gonna see it and they're gonna be like, I'm out, and then that turnover happens. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And it goes for everybody. And my son's kind of in that age right now too, right? He's 20 years old working for the government, Homeland Security. He's in a entry level position, but I try to coach him and lead him even when he comes home at night and he tells me his day and how his day went and this supervisor or that supervisor, and I'm like, well, you're in that position now where you need to start showing a little bit of leadership, take initiative. Don't let that supervisor wait to have to tell you what to do, step up.
Mhm.
Be the leader that you're going to be. Learn from those leaders that you have right now. And you, just by the stories you're telling me, um, I can tell that you see the difference in the leadership styles of the people that you work for.
Mhm.
But let that be a learning experience for you when you become a leader, and treat your people well, make sure they're getting their breaks or they're getting their lunches, and those are little things that he talks about. Oh, I didn't get my lunch until an hour and a half later than I was scheduled, well,
Mhm.
look at your leader.
Yeah.
Your leaders, that's their responsibility to make sure people are getting their breaks or their lunches or making sure the mission's accomplished. If it's busy and things are moving hectically, maybe, that's why. But you
Yeah.
got to look at the big picture,
Yeah.
and taking care of your people, man, that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that you
The
can
big
do.
takeaway. Yeah, big
Yeah.
takeaway. I remember the first thing I learned as an NCO in the Army when I was one. Uh, don't eat before your people.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, your people have to eat, and then you eat because that shows them that you're putting them ahead of you, right?
Absolutely,
Small
man.
things like that. Small things.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Eddie. You see that a lot on good, solid leaders, and pretty much the army is bred that way.
Mhm.
You've always seen the commanders and the first sergeants and the leadership at the back of the line. They're the last ones to eat. If there's crumbs left, guess what? You're gonna eat crumbs.
Yep.
You got to feed them troops and feed your organization with good stuff. So, but yeah, that is a good one too. And another thing too that I kind of rolled back in military time and physical training and physical fitness, was I the best in shape? No, by no means. But
Right.
golly, man, I would give it all my might to lead from the front and be leading, in any run, any company run or whatever it was, But yeah, those young bucks, man, they would run circles around me, but I'd give it all I had, man, even if it took throwing up a little bit on the
Yeah,
side.
man. Yeah, you gotta lead from the front that way, right? But that brings up another good point. I know a lot of operators, personally, and they weren't the best at what they did, but they didn't give up.
Yeah,
Weren't the biggest, they weren't the fastest. They just had that mindset that
yeah,
no matter what's going on, I'm gonna continue, right? So
yeah.
getting that mindset as well is very important, and also it can be contagious to others,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's the kind of culture you want to, cultivate. So yeah.
Yeah, that mindset, man, that's a big piece of. I'm glad you brought that up because that's huge and people some people don't know how to use that their mind is as strong as they can, and it's kind of like when you're doing PT or whatnot and you're doing physical training and you're at muscle failure. Man, you can tell your mind, give me three more.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And your body will do it, and it's one of those powerful things that, going through any kind of training, physical hard training, you've been through SEER training and some of that crazy stuff as a pilot, and having to endure that.
Hmm.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
go to the mind over the body, man.
And once you do it once, it builds that confidence. You can
Yeah.
like, well, I can do this, even if my body's telling me no. I can do it. Because I
Yeah.
know I have it. It's just it's got to be deep in me that I push it out, right? So, yeah, man, that SEER aspect really trained me in that very well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different trainings in the military that veterans have that can be very beneficial to corporations and companies if they're given a
Yeah.
chance, and given a chance to lead. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of that knowledge. Um, but yeah, man, we'll try to get together, tell some more stories.
Yeah.
I know, man,
Man, I
you got
miss you,
some.
brother.
Yeah, I miss you too, man. Let me know when you're back this way.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. My
uh,
my son's he's trying to talk me into taking him to a Cowboys game
mm.
this year, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, let me know, man. We'll meet up somewhere.
All right, brother, man.
Throwbacks.
Hey, good chatting with you.
You too, man. You too, and appreciate your time, and thanks again for the knowledge. All right.
Hey, likewise, brother.
All right.